This How to Bet on the World Cup edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is presented by WynnBet. WynnBet is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBet has what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100 and get a $100 free bet at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy. You're listening to SGP. Wait, hold on. Say it again.
Cox. He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, second the money green, with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog.
I'll be honest, Sean. You look like a man who's fixing to play some soccer, aka football.
Yes, I'm wearing my.
You're looking quite fit in that Newcastle jersey.
I'm wearing my soccer kit, even though I am Team USA. This is my only soccer outfit, so I had to rock it.
Well, your name,
for our.
Your name's on the back, Sean. Right?
Yes, it is. And shout out to. You can't really see.
Oh, I think the biceps came over nice.
Shout out to Malcolm, hooked us up with our own soccer kits, Ryan. Hey, we got a great podcast for you. If you've never bet soccer before, perfect time to hop in. We're gonna walk through how to bet it, even walk through some of the soccer betting. I feel like some of our audience new to soccer, maybe we have to actually explain the three-way.
The amount of times we've had an Asian handicap conversation, you can count on one hand on this podcast. So, yeah, I mean, and Sean, by the way, it also is the like this is how we met Billy in the first place. He slayed the 2014 World Cup. Shout out to us for being around for a long fucking time.
All right, we're gonna get to all of that. Before we do, shout out to WynnBet. This is my soccery music. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/WynnBet. That's right, bet big, win bigger with WynnBet. So bet $100, get a $100 free bet. I mean, are you kidding me? It is a great time to get down. We got college football, college basketball, the National Football League, and of course, jolly old soccer. They have a ton of World Cup bets, and we are going to be taking all of the World Cup betting lines straight from the WynnBet Sportsbooks. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/WynnBet. And of course, you guys know the disclaimer. For subject to change, terms and conditions at WynnBet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where play through WynnBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. Joining us on the line, he is the host of the Soccer Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, Mr. Billi Bhatti. Billy, what's happening, man?
I can't believe we're doing a show where you're wearing a soccer jersey and I'm wearing a polo, Nick. But yeah. I mean,
the tides have turned.
I guess it's just down to the freezing cold country that I'm in, and my heating hasn't turned on yet. So that's the reason. But I can't believe Newcastle. Like, why Newcastle of everything?
I think
Malcolm's a Newcastle.
Yeah, Malcolm.
Oh, okay.
It was nice enough to give us the jerseys.
Purely
He's a Newcastle guy. It's all soccer to me, Billy.
Plus, aren't the new owners Qatari? Like maybe there's the crossover there.
Yeah.
They've just got that. They've just got that all money through. So yeah. They're now the richest club in the world officially.
That's
Sean,
crazy.
This is where you say, "Watch out, Man United."
Watch out, Man U. We're coming for you. Are they our rivals? I got to learn a little bit.
But you probably hate Man U. They're like the Yankees.
All right, then definitely hate them. Now, Billy, you've been doing like Ryan said. We met you back in 2014.
8 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. Time has completely flown by.
Back then, they did the World Cup in the summer, Sean.
Yeah, that was all the way back when they used to do it in the summer. Walk us through, like, what is your? I know you've given out a bunch of winners for the World Cup and stuff, but do you recall maybe your best bet or best run on giving stuff out on our show for soccer? Because I feel like it's always been pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, chronologically, I did the World Cup, and I asked you guys if I could come on and do it. And you're like, yeah, soccer. I don't know. Like, I don't know if I guys would be interested in that. And then it snowballed. I think I did the Champions League, like the Champions League the year after, and then we did the EPL show for the 2015-2016 season. So it took about 16, 17 months before we actually had a weekly show from World Cup to the EPL show. But yeah, I think the lot records are strong. I think the best year I had was 47-11.
Wow.
I did have a 14-1 start, but this year, but at that time, it was completely overshadowed by Kramer's 100% record in the NFL. So I couldn't even shout about it because I was being overshadowed by what Kramer was doing. And I think it's to his credit. You know, you have those minus 110 lines, whereas I allow myself to go from as low as minus 180. So it is a little bit easier for me to have a 14-1 start. Although it's still good, obviously, still massively profitable. But while this guy's going 8-0 at minus 110, I couldn't really brag about it as much as I should have.
And I'd like to thank Billy. This whole year has been nothing but people coming on congratulating Sean about his Philadelphia Eagles. No one even mentioned my hot start to the lock streak, other than shout out to Josh. He kind of jinxed it with his tout on social media, but. Finally, a guest comes and greases this pole over here, Sean, or maybe greases the wheels. I don't know, but yeah, I mean,
what about the World Cup itself? I know. Well, one, they're doing it in November. It seemed like there was a lot of controversy surrounding the Qatar World Cup. It seemed like pretty obviously maybe the World Cup officials were bribed to put it in Qatar. And then it sounds like they're building the stadium it's hot kind of last second. What's your give us like a quick briefing on the tournament itself?
Yeah, I think for me, I would prefer to be having it in the summer as a handicapper, just because that's our gap. Usually, like we have tennis going on. We have like the French Open and Wimbledon. And then if we have a soccer tournament, it keeps things going. It means that the gap that we have between soccer to soccer is only about 6 weeks. So that's where I like it to be. Here, like at the same time, I'm trying to handicap the NFL. I'm trying to handicap the NBA. I'm trying to get the end of the tennis season. So and we don't really know how to go about it, because usually when we have the soccer season, there's never this break where we stop the existing soccer season 14 games in. And then we have these games played. We've lost players to like injuries. So it's going to be a difficult thing to handicap. It's never, ever been seen before. And as I said, ideally, we wouldn't really want it at this time of year. I think the one positive about it being in Qatar, other than obviously the political issues are the political issues. But for me personally, the window to discuss them is gone. Like you can now virtue signal and do whatever you want. But the fact is that you already said you were going to play. Yeah. You can't now go over there and dictate what their rules are, especially when it's religious, because then it gets into such a weird area where it's not just their rules where as Westerners you can say, oh, this is barbaric and this is wrong. It's very strange when it comes to religion. You're pretty much handicapped and handcuffed of saying anything. So I'm not going to touch that one because I think it's far too late. But ultimately, I think the difficulties lie with the break and the weather, because we know it was already moved from June, so it was going to be hot. It's still going to be pretty hot. So there's all those difficulties to overcome. But as I was saying, the positive thing is that for guys that were thinking about betting this, you get up in the morning and you can bet it. I was telling you guys on the West Coast that the England-USA game, for example, is going to be as soon as you wake up in the morning. It's a 7 p.m. kickoff. So it's 11 a.m. for you guys. If you wake up really early, there's a game before that. So if you guys are thinking, oh, am I going to watch this? Or am I going to keep betting the NBA? Or am I going to watch this NFL on Sunday, whatever? Doesn't matter. You can watch it all. You can bet on everything because of the way this is timed out. So even Sean can get involved.
Oh, yes. God's eye will be watching the World Cup for sure. I mean, this is. I would go as far to say, in the year 2022, that soccer, the World Cup may have less flopping than we're seeing in the NBA. So I definitely off the NBA, and maybe even after Heineke debuting the 1-0 flop last night. Just was that a World Cup shout out? Perhaps
he's already ahead of it. Ahead of the
flopping
game.
Has fully infiltrated our sports. What I heard him say is we're going to be seeing some injuries because they're already playing their middle of their season. They're going to a place that's probably drier and hotter than where they're playing, somewhere in Europe.
Well, yeah, and we see this all the time with the NFL. If you have
Can't project injuries though, Sean.
no, but I think a lot of like pulled hamstring, a lot of that soft tissue stuff, because you take a long break, maybe your conditioning isn't as good as it should be, or again, you're playing in a completely different type of weather. It's going to throw things off. Is there any sort of like big picture, the fact that it's playing in Qatar, the fact that teams are dealing with injuries? Is there any sort of big picture takeaway where, like, you know, I mean, we are famous for having the first half unders in the March Madness tournament. Is there any sort of like, hey, maybe look to unders because these guys are not going to be in the best shape or the conditions, or maybe it works the other way and you lean towards overs because the defense is dogging it a little bit. Any sort of big picture stuff on that?
Not really in terms of like the overall look at the tournament. African teams in general set up very defensively. We've seen a lot of unders in the African nations. In fact, the usual line of over under 2.5 goals. When the African nations was played, the under 2.5 goals was set at under -200 for nearly every single game because of the way that they played. So, I mean, that was a very boring tournament to watch, but they're also used to playing a tournament in the middle of the season. So the African nations could do well because they're used to it. But that's really it. I mean, in terms of those teams setting up with a defensive low block, we're going to see a lot of that when you come up against the Argentinas, the Brazils, the Frances. A lot of teams are not going to be wanting to play them. So sometimes when you do see a France, a Brazil, and you got a very juiced line of like, you know, -200, -300, something along those lines, you can tack on the under 4.5 goals or the under 3.5 goals alongside it, because it may take these teams some time to score. Like every team that's got here has come through quite a vigorous qualification process from their continent. So they know how to organize themselves well enough to not get beaten by 4, 5, or 6. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, so
I don't think
kind of
like
almost kind of like for
well, first half on. Do I hear in first half unders?
yeah, almost kind of like and there might be something
so our
to
first half. Do we?
Well,
have,
because it does sound similar to a March Madness style tournament where Billy's pointing out
first games.
Even the like low ranked teams, even your 15, 16 seed teams, they still had to win their conference tournament, right? They still had to win the Patriot League or whatever it is, and to go up against these teams.
I love that we're
they're not going
talking
to get blown out.
I love that we're talking this out. We just figured out that first half unders may apply to the World Cup. Very excited. I'm doing that this year.
I like it too.
Already locked that in.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the outright winners. Then we're going to go by the group winners and get some picks over there as well. And then even top goal scorer, some props there at the end. Let's look at the outright winners right now. Brazil, a big favorite at +350. Argentina close at +525. France +575.
Boom.
England +750, Spain +800, Germany 10-1, and then the United States.
USA,
no one believes
USA.
in us. 150-1. This is disgraceful.
We didn't realize
we're neck and neck with Wales and Senegal.
Sean,
I mean,
we didn't realize we made a sweet World Cup USA shirt.
Oh, yes.
But if Jake's listening, maybe we turn this somehow into a soccer ball, get it a little World Cup style. Yeah, I mean, the future on the U.S. is hilarious.
It is comic.
That's pretty embarrassing for us to be around those teams, right, Billy?
As someone just popping in on the World Cup, my instincts say Argentina is the favorite and then USA is the long shot. But Billy, does the U.S. have any sort of chance of winning this?
Oh, it's starting right with the US. I thought we would wait to get to Group B at least.
Oh no! All right, no. Let's
get at least. Maybe if they can even get out of their group, but no, realistically, they don't. I think having a respectable performance here would be the best thing for them. Getting out of the group where they face a team again like England, of course, and then Wales, who have more tournament experience than them. I think that'll be the challenge alone for this young team to get out of the group. But no, they don't ultimately have no chance of winning. But we'll talk more about their group prospects when we get to Group B. Definitely,
Sean. It sounds like this maybe is like the U.S. is like they get in the playoffs, they have a nice showing, but they lose, and then next year we host, or next World Cup is hosted by us, Sean.
Yeah.
So this is a big setup for. I've heard the soccer pundits, the Alexi Lalases and such talk about how important it is to have some wins or have some success in this World Cup to not create a ridiculous amount of pressure on the team for the next one. So
you want to move to Group A, Billy, or do you have any thoughts on the outright market?
The outright market, yeah, I believe it's correct to have the two South American teams there at the top to see if they will be able to adjust more so to the weather. I mean, a lot of these players, they don't play in South America. In fact, 90% of both squads don't play in South America. They all play across Europe. Argentina coming into this one with the Copa America win. That was their first trophy in 28 years. But since they're now riding a 35-match unbeaten streak. And in this tournament, I believe Argentina are going to play a friendly match before the tournament. So when they go into this tournament, when they play Mexico, they have the opportunity to get the world record undefeated streak. This isn't a winning streak. This is an undefeated streak. So they have the opportunity to get that in the Mexico game. So they're coming in with all the form. Messi's last World Cup as well. He hasn't lived up to the hype on the international stage. Obviously, always in the shadow of Maradona, who's a player in 1986. Like that 1986 performance by Maradona is still the standout World Cup performance of a player putting an entire team on his back and then carried him to the World Cup. He didn't do anything in the final necessarily, but he did carry them through. It's kind of like when Carson Wentz carried the Eagles through to the Super Bowl, didn't play like that time. That's what Maradona did back in '86. But yeah, I mean, Messi's always been in his shadow internationally whilst being a better club player. So all eyes are going to be on that. I think sentimentally, everybody wants them to win. If you don't want your own country to win, you want Messi to win. I think he's the more popular player than Ronaldo. Ronaldo's done himself no favors this week. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story in the Piers Morgan interview where he's tried to get himself out of Manchester United because he's not playing. So that's not done him any favors either. So the bias towards Messi will be even more. But I think the opportunity to solidify yourself as the GOAT and for it to be somewhat undisputed, I think it lies here for Messi. The funny thing is the biggest obstacle is their biggest rivals is Brazil. This squad is absolutely stacked from top to bottom. This will really test the fact whether it's more important to have that outright 11, which is what Argentina have, a strong 11. Brazil too have a strong 11, but their squad depth is unbelievable. They can cover every single position, and we'll see how important that is in this tournament, especially with it being played at this time of year. I cannot really make a case for any of the European teams. Can't even make a case for England, which I'll talk about when we get to Group B. So I'm pretty high on the two teams from South America personally.
Well, you mentioned the comment about the African nations not having to have a different flow of their season being broken up. I'm seeing Senegal here at 100-1. Is that like is that a sharp angle right there, Billy?
It's not a case like a lot of these African players do play in Europe, so they're still having their season broken up. But they've done this many times before. Like they've played the African nations, which because Africa's hot too. The African nations is played in January. So they're used to like going away, playing a tournament and then going back to their league, missing 6 or 7 games usually because the season doesn't stop for the African nations, something that has been controversial and African football have complained about it. But yeah, they're used to it. But whether they have the talent pool to go deep, I'm not too sure. Senegal probably are the only ones. They are the African nations champions, but they have a very difficult group in Group A to just come out of. So we'll see. Also, Sadio Mane of Bayern Munich was injured just before the tournament, so he's missed the last couple of games for Bayern. So we'll see if he's 100%. He'll need to be 100% because he offers the goal output for them. Whereas their squad depth, defensively, they're solid, but their goal output and goal threat comes from Sadio Mane, who was formerly of Liverpool and has now gone to Bayern Munich.
And so good transition into Group A.
Yeah, let's get into Group A. Before we do that,
it's almost like I do podcasts.
Yes, Billy's a pro. Hey, before we talk group stages, let's talk Rocket Money. What an opportunity to save you some extra bucks. You could be, getting down on some sweet bets. All you got to do is go to rocketmoney.com/SGPN. There's so many subscriptions out there that you probably already signed up for. You're set up on auto pay. You forgot. They're charging you $5-10 a month. It adds up to $100 a year. Again, I'm so glad I found this out because there was a bunch of, like old gym memberships you forget to cancel, whatever it is. Rocket Money makes it so easy to cancel. All you gotta do, press cancel. Rocket Money takes care of the rest. And again, you might even be double charged for some of these things. Rocketmoney.com/SGPN. They will take care of you and help you save up to hundreds of dollars a year, maybe even more. And we're also brought to you by Babbel. Holiday season is coming up, and what is the perfect gift? Babbel. It's great for the traveler in your life, or someone who's in a foreign cultures and likes learning new language. I mean, I just saw someone in the chat say me amo football. So again, maybe you want to talk a little football, Americano, or football, whatever it is. Babbel helps you talk to other people in new languages 10 minutes a day, and you're all of a sudden speaking the new language in as little as 3 weeks. You got Spanish, French, Italian, and German. And a 20-day money-back guarantee. You can't go wrong with Babbel. Again, perfect gift for the holidays. Just go to babbel.com/SGP. That's babbel.com/SGP. BABBEL.com/SGP for up to 55% off your subscription. Group A, we got Holland, Ecuador, Senegal, Ryan, as you mentioned, and Qatar, the home team.
Oh, no.
Holland's -255, Ecuador +600, Senegal +600, Qatar +1,700.
I assume the Qatari team is all foreign nationals who are bought and paid for and are playing
mercenaries.
For Qatar.
Yeah, I mean, for Qatar, it's a weird one with Qatar. So since I started watching the World Cup in 1990, the host nation qualified from the group once in history, and that was South Africa in 2010.
Wow.
A very bad US team in '94 that were not expected to get out of the group, managing to do it. Obviously, France were, because they went on to win the tournament. In 2002, under very dubious circumstances, Korea and Japan, who were co-hosting the tournament, both went out of their group. In fact, Korea went all the way to the semi-final. So and they were like underdogs to get out of the group. And there were a lot of controversial decisions along the way, particularly in the Italy game. So people can look out for themselves in 2002. The last World Cup, Russia, they had a very poor team. They were ranked somewhere in the 60s in the world rankings. They got out of their group. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility. In fact, historically, they are favored to get out of the group. But just the odds here tell me that Qatar are +400 to get out of their group and they're 11-1 to win their group. So they're obviously the massive underdogs here because of the quality of their team. The history does favor the host nation, but I think that it would have to be with a tinge of corruption. But corruption's like the key word going into this World Cup, so it would not surprise me at all. I mean, it's definitely worth a couple of dollars, like to have a bet on them.
Yeah, that's a great
history.
If it's worth infinite money to host the event because you just want your nation highlighted, what's an extra half of infinity? They have infinite money. What's it cost to get to? I mean,
it's like live golf. It's like, why?
Maybe what you pay an extra $500 million, you get to the quarterfinal. Like, how's that
come
work?
on, we can figure this out. I'm with Billy. I think
this is great.
I saw it on WynnBet. Qatar to qualify is +500. That to me is a nice 5-1. And then group winner, I don't know. I mean, at Holland at minus. Let me see. Holland is the massive favorite at -255. But Billy's saying maybe sprinkle Qatar to group winner at 17-1. We have it here. What do you think? So it seems like the play is Qatar to qualify. Definitely like that at 5-1. Is Holland? Are they such a dominant favorite that there's any value at -255 for them to win Group A?
I've got a slightly better line than that over here, but at the same time, there isn't really. They should win the group quite comfortably. They won their group at the last European Championship, and they did it with a very, very poor manager, a manager who failed in the EPL. He has the worst win percentage in the history of the EPL. He then somehow managed to get the international job at Holland and messed that up as well. But they have a massively talented group of players. When you look at the likes of Memphis Depay, when you look at the likes of Virgil van Dijk being their centre back. So they're very creative in midfield as well. So yeah, I mean, it's very difficult to see this group of players who all play their football across the top teams of Europe, failing to win this group against the competition. The only team you can really make a case for is Senegal, because Senegal will try and shut games down, and they could feasibly come away with a point against the Dutch. But ultimately, even in that scenario, if the Dutch end up with a draw with Senegal, their goal differential against other teams, because of the way that they play, is going to be bigger than Senegal. I think when you're looking elsewhere in this group, the qualification odds, I think the reason why I favour Senegal over Ecuador to come through this group, and why I favour Senegal over Qatar, if Qatar are going to have that big performance where they get a result against either Holland, Ecuador, or Senegal, I think it's going to be on that opener. I think it's going to be when the whole country are behind them, all the buzz of the tournament, the opening ceremony, and I think they're going to come out like super motivated for the opener. I think obviously that motivation dips as we get through the tournament, and it's easier to play this team later on down the line than it is for that big opener. So Ecuador aren't really in a great position playing Qatar first. So that's why I slightly favour Senegal, because they get to play them later on. That's really the only reason why I favour them, other than the fact they have the pedigree of being the African Nations champions, and Ecuador's team is quite young.
It sounds like we're playing Senegal to advance at somewhere around even money. It sounds like we're playing a Netherlands Senegal exacta box plus 125. It sounds like we're playing Netherlands Senegal straight forecast plus 250. And it sounds like I'm going to sprinkle Senegal plus 100 to win it.
Ryan, you writing all this down?
I'm writing it all down. I got it right here.
I think all of that comes with the asterisks to keep an eye on the Sadio Mane situation, because without Sadio Mane and your captain being gone, that's a massive loss. So I don't know where the goals are going to come from when you. I mean, look, the Ballon d'Or was just done. Benzema won it, and Sadio Mane came second. So it's been a long time since an African player was in the top three. So that's how influential he is, and I think it would be a big negative if he's not at 100%. So I would keep an eye on that. I still would have that minus 500, that plus 500 sprinkle on Qatar, just for history. Just for history, because in the 32 years I've watched the World Cup, only one host nation has gone out.
That's so wild.
As I've said,
come on. The truth is out there.
And you got similar odds on the US in '94. Not that I was gambling in '94. I was probably trying to. and Korea, Japan, and Russia have all come through with similar type of odds.
Love it. All right,
these are great points.
We got a lot of groups to get through. Group B, everyone's favorite group. England is the favorite at minus 290. The USA dogs that are no one's believing in at plus 650 to win the group. Wales plus 650 to win. Iran 21 to or plus 2100 to win. And then the qualify odds, you have US or England is a massive favorite at minus 1400, USA plus 100, Wales plus 100, and then Iran plus 350. Billy, I mean, I think I love this USA team. To your point, they're young, but they're young, they're scrappy. They don't know they should be scared of this world stage. I think they definitely qualify. I'd be shocked if they don't. But again, I'm a homer. What do you make of this group?
Could be a Nathaniel Hackett coaching situation.
Yeah, again, in theory, I know England have had a massive dip in form, which is why their prices dropped so significantly, because they were the clear third favourites. In fact, at one point when we finished the Euros last year, England were the second favourites behind Brazil, who have always been the favourites for this tournament because of obviously the squad, the history in the World Cups, and because of where it's being played. But England have had a massive dip. They've been really poor since the Euros. They've been relegated from their Nations League group, which is quite difficult to do when you have the type of players that England have. So they're not coming into this tournament in good form. But this is where the USA face difficulty, because it's a squad game, right? It's a squad game where all of these people are taking 26 men over, and they only need to pick 11. Now, USA's disadvantage is this: if England beat Iran and if England beat Iran and England beat the US, they have their 6 points. By the time they play Wales, and England have already mathematically won the group, then they will sit everybody for that game. So that's the big problem that the US have. Now, if England don't have maximum point, or if Wales, if England don't sit people against Wales, that means that Wales are in with a shout of winning the group, which already means that Wales have had positive results against the US and Iran. So if England have 2 wins, but they are still playing their strongest team against Wales, that will only be because Wales can potentially overtake them in the group. So it's a no-win situation for the US in the way that this group is like laid out. Because if England play their strongest team against Wales, that means Wales have done really well. If England play their weakest team against Wales, then it offers Wales the opportunity to get something. And historically, if you look at the Euros, England only dropped points in their group in the Euros against Scotland. Scotland are massively ranked below England in the rankings. And England were not able to beat Scotland because Scotland played like that game like their lives depending on it, because England and Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland, this is all Britain. And all those players are going to play up because they all play in England anyway. It's just some of them play in the lower leagues. So Wales are definitely going to raise their game for the England game no matter what. But for England, it could just be a case of let's put 11 different players out there. So that's going to be the biggest difficulty for US, which means, in my opinion, the game against the Wales, USA's opener, is a must-win. I think they must win that game. And I actually fancied the USA to win it until the other week, where Gareth Bale came off the bench and won the MLS Cup for LA Galaxy. For LAFC. Bearing in mind he's barely made a contribution all season and has just been sitting there trying to get his fitness. And he comes off the bench and scores the equaliser 8 minutes into injury time, and LAFC win it, which proves that Gareth Bale is still a massive match winner. And this is a player in his career has won the Champions League coming off the bench as well. So it is scary for the US with Gareth Bale being in his form, with him loving his country, always playing up. And I feel the USA need to win that game. Additionally, what's difficult is Iran. They don't hate England and they don't hate Wales, but they hate you guys. So even in that situation, you have a game where Iran may play up because they don't want to lose to the US. Like, they really don't want to lose to the US. So it is difficult when you look at all of that.
I like these the side angle. I was gonna come in with this. I knew the Bale nugget. He's healthy, which means we're betting on Wales, right? Isn't that the dark horse? England chokes. Wales wins the group.
Wow, Ryan, controversy.
Is that hot take? I don't know.
Well, if Wales wins, then we have to get second. I'm with Billy. I think
I didn't hear a lot of support for the roster that the coach is bringing over. They're already second guessing him. He left some key guys at home. Come on, we've seen this story before.
No, I
love the USA too.
Yeah, but
this coach is a fucking disaster.
I like USA in game 1 against Wales. To Billy's point, I think they also realize it's backs against the wall time. They're plus 165 for the game 1. Draws at plus 205, and then Wales plus 200.
Wales to qualify plus 110. That feels like easy money.
So what are your plays here in Group B, Billy? Are you just taking you're taking England to win it and USA to qualify, or what do you like best out of these?
Yeah, I think on paper USA are a slightly better team than Wales, but Wales have qualified they just play up at these tournaments. They get behind the team. Gareth Bale's a leader, and they've qualified from 2 groups already. They qualified in 2016, where they had a massive run at Euros, and they qualified out the group in 2020 as well. So when they go to a major tournament, they have been getting out of the group. In fact, they had a significant run in 2016 where they knocked out Belgium. So they do turn up for tournaments. And even though the talent isn't there, and essentially you look at this and it's a 2-man team, it's Aaron Ramsey and it's Gareth Bale. Otherwise, if I was picking, for example, a combined 11 between Wales and US, I'd probably have like 6 or 7 US players and just 4 from Wales. So, but the fact is that the pressure's on the US. The scheduling doesn't help them. They have to beat Wales, because England, you would assume, are going to beat Iran and are going to beat the US. And if they go into that final game with 6 points, you're not going to see Harry Kane. You're not going to see Maguire. You're not going to see whoever the first choice midfielder is, Rice and Bellingham. You're not going to see a lot of these players. So it's going to be easier for Wales to get something from the game.
Yeah, I mean, we also tend to not do well in these situations. Like situational spot for the US. This is a bad one.
All right.
There's a lot of hype. We like Pulisic. He called out the crowd saying it was bullshit.
My lock for there is USA to qualify. Kramer, what do you got there?
Wales to qualify.
Wow.
Or no, actually Wales wins the group.
Benedict Dan over here.
Well, I mean, maybe I'm just motivating the squad.
All right.
I'm a little worried. Sean, you're going to hate the coach too.
All right. I'm sure I'll turn on him. Group C, Argentina -315, Mexico +600, Poland +600, Saudi Arabia 75-1. How can Saudi Arabia not figure out how to buy some players? I mean, they figured out how to buy an entire golf league. And as far as qualifying, you got Argentina.
They need a Greg Norman
at -1200, Mexico -110, Poland -110, Saudi Arabia +500. What are your favorite bets here from Group C, Billy?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to oppose Argentina coming through this group as the winners. Bearing in mind that they're riding in that undefeated streak. Bearing in mind that Mexico game is going to be a world record game. So it's really difficult to look beyond them. They've been winning games like this. They haven't been conceding goals either. So this group is all about second place. One thing I'll say about this Mexico team is they're a very strange Mexico team who rarely score more than 2 goals. They're not a very high scoring Mexico team at all. In fact, they've only done it against quite poor teams, which I covered on the podcast when I was covering this group. So they're not your usual like high flying, high scoring Mexico team. And Poland, they didn't do very good in the Euros, but they've been pretty strong since then. They qualified in a group where they finished runners up to England. They drew England in the process as well. So I don't really want to take too many European teams to get out of their groups, but I do feel that Poland are in better form than this Mexico team coming in. As for Saudi Arabia, they're just an under team. That they're going to be involved in the games that are very low scoring. They're going to sit in and try and make it difficult for teams to score. They're trying to go home and not get embarrassed there. They're not a contender to win this group.
All right, so it seems simple there.
Or do anything.
Yeah, maybe take Argentina -315. I'm with Billy. I'm pulling to qualify. Let's go.
Saudi Arabia to be to lose all their games is +175.
Well, I'm with Billy.
Might be a draw in there.
I think that's where they get out of that, where just one draw and they're good to go. Moving over to Group D. France -250, Denmark a scrappy dog at +275. Then it falls off with Tunisia at 24-1 and Australia 25-1 to win the group. Shout out to Australia.
Where's Pick Dundee?
Yeah, we got a stronghold down in Australia. As far as to qualify, France -1,000, Denmark -300, Australia +300, Tunisia is a +350. What are your best bets here from Group D, Billy?
This is the first one where we come up against a favorite, and I'm not 100% confident that they'll win the group. Like, even though they are the world champions, it was Denmark that got through to the semi-finals at the Euros, and that was after one of their players had a heart issue in the first game, and they were completely distracted by that with Christian Eriksen, and they ended up losing that opening game. They bounced back from that to qualify from the group and get all the way to the semi-finals where they lost to England in extra time. So this is a team which don't really have superstars. I know they've got Christian Eriksen, who plays for Manchester United, but he's not in that bracket with your Messis, Ronaldos, Lewandowskis, etc. But they don't have any superstars. But this is a team that come together, and that's exactly what France are. France have got all the superstars. When you look at having Kylian Mbappe, Karim Benzema, Anton Griezmann, and Christopher Nkunku. But since they have all of these like players, they've not been able to like bring it together. They had a better squad going into Euro 2020, which was played in 2021. They had a better squad going into that than they had, which actually won the World Cup. But there was absolutely no chemistry at all. They only played well for half an hour during that entire tournament, which is when they went 3-1 up against the Swiss. And they still relinquished that lead to get pegged back to 3-3 and lost on penalties. They haven't been great since then. They haven't been high scoring since then. I can see them being frustrated by teams setting up with a low block, and they don't have the creative players there to unlock it. So they do have the attackers, but they're missing midfielders. Pogba's out of the tournament. Kante's out of the tournament. He protects their back four. So you're going in with a completely brand new midfield that you're only getting to try at the tournament. When you look at their players, they're solid. And you look at the defenders, the attackers, the midfielders they're taking is solid. They got two youngsters who are playing for Real Madrid. But you're still starting all of these people together for like the first time pretty much. So I don't know. It's definitely worth opposing them. Look, it wouldn't surprise me if they win the group and they win every single game. But when you're looking at the chemistry issues they have coming in, and with the coach being criticised, and this is a World Cup winning coach, and the public are ready for him to go because they feel like his time is done. So yeah, it's not all good going in.
Yeah, I like Denmark plus 275 to win the group, and
or what if Australia?
What was that?
Or what if they really fail? And Denmark, Australia take the group plus 1,600 on the exacta box.
Wow. Well, what do you like? Do you like that? Well, Australia to qualify, Billy. Australia to qualify 3-1. Any interest in that or no? I mean, to me, Denmark to win it all is the simplest at plus
actually,
275.
First, is Ben Simmons playing for Australia? First, no. All right, good. We're gonna
fine. Do you make Australia have any chance to qualify?
No, for me, I think they'll be the bottom team in the group. I think Tunisia are better than them. They're a little bit more organised. The difficulty Australia have is kind of similar to the US in terms of coming through that North American qualifying group. So it doesn't really add much competition. And then you increase your world ranking through coming through quite an easy section. And even through that, they needed 2 playoff wins over UAE and Peru to even get to Qatar. And they scraped through a group stage, which saw them qualify ahead of Oman. So it's not really a case of them doing too much to get here, which is why when they get there, same as the US, it's a bit of a shock when you're suddenly coming up against teams at this level. And I think someone like Tunisia have more of a chance. I do think it'll be France and Denmark. I'm just not sure about the order because I think Denmark can beat the other 2 teams and so can France. And then when you're looking at that Denmark-France game, Denmark are more than capable of sitting in, getting a draw, and then making it go down to goal difference or even stealing the game. Like France have lost to opponents like Denmark before over the last 4 years. So I'm just not confident about the France's chemistry. Individually, they've got the best players. In fact, I would argue that they've got even better players than Brazil individually. But when you're looking at their best players, someone like Kylian Mbappe, who his dream was to go to Real Madrid, he didn't go there because he got offered a truckload of money. But not only did he want the money, he wanted a say in how the team is run moving forward. He wanted a say in all of the players that they signed.
LeBron James.
That's Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, and this never works. And now he's trying to dictate to Paris where he plays. He's dictating to France where he plays. He wants to play behind the 2 strikers in the number 10 position. He wears number 10 for France. But what that position means is that you see more of the ball, you make more assists, you get to be more creative and more of a creative influence. And all that is his ego wanting to put himself in the conversation for the Ballon d'Or. Because he plays in such an easy league in France, which is called the Farmers League, Paris Saint-Germain, we know, are going to win the league every season. That's why they start as minus 1,000 to win the league.
Yeah.
So he knows he's not going to get the credit for winning the league with Paris. He needs to win the Champions League, which he hasn't done, or he needs to win another World Cup. And he wants to do it in a position where he doesn't actually play. He needs to shut his mouth, play wide in his real position where he can be dangerous, where he can affect games with his pace, which is his biggest asset. His biggest asset isn't opening teams up with his skill set. His asset is running at players with his God-given pace. But he doesn't want to be that player. And and France are rife with these kind of problems. So, yeah, I obviously the talent is unquestionable. Like, they have a lot of players that are worth over £100 million. When you're looking at Mbappe, he's probably worth over £200 million. But they haven't put it together since the last World Cup. That's the problem.
All right, so Denmark first, France second in the exacta would pay a little bit better than just Denmark straight up. So maybe a better way to play Denmark outright, Sean. You get plus 300 there. We also can sprinkle Denmark and Tunisia 25-1. Forget those Aussies. I'm out on them. Yeah, but I like the angle. I like fading this France team. I like how he's laid out this egotistical prick. who's soiling the team. Tons of talent. Super team. Assemble.
All in on Denmark. All right, moving to Group E. Spain -110, Germany +120, Japan +1400, Costa Rica 70-1 to win the group. Huge fan of Costa Rica as a country.
Who are you rooting harder for? Costa Rica or USA?
USA all the way.
There was a pause
I like Costa Rica though. It's a good country.
Pause.
Costa Rica's 8-1 to qualify. Japan's +375. Germany and Spain are -800, -900. I mean, Billy, it seems like Spain and Germany 1 and 2, and Japan and Costa Rica have no shot. Or can you make any case for the dogs here?
I can't, unfortunately. There's always a group that they need to label as the group of death, but in this instance, I think it's just very difficult to pick the winner of the group.
Yeah.
Germany's weakness is the fact that they don't really have any world-class defenders other than Antonio Rudiger. The rest of the team is pretty solid. In terms of Spain, they don't have that out-and-out goal scorer that they need, but they'll dominate games in possession. The Spain games aren't going to be your funnest games to watch because it's going to be a team who dominate the ball and play a lot of side to side. It's kind of the equivalent of a team in the NFL like having a good running game and having that time of possession, like 37 minutes. That's what it's going to be like watching Spain. As for the other two, Japan are unlucky to be drawn in this group because they would have had a chance of getting through a lot of the groups. They could have been competitive. And I do feel that they'll be able to beat Costa Rica. Costa Rica, I can't give a chance to a team who came fourth in CONCACAF. That's USA section. So when you finish fourth in that and you need a playoff to beat New Zealand to go through, I can't give you a shot in this group. So yeah, this one's relatively straightforward, despite the label of group of death. It's difficult to call the winner. It's ultimately going to be decided in the Germany-Spain game. I would probably just blindly revert to whoever the dog is if you're desperate to bet the group. But I don't think the dual forecast is giving you great odds.
Yeah,
I don't know what you got there. WynnBet.
Yeah, we're saying we're +120 for Germany, -110 for Spain. I'll take Germany here as the dog. If it's a toss up, I'll take the +120. Not afraid to back Germany unless you're talking World Wars. Kramer, what do you got for Group E? Is
Costa Rica going to score a goal, Billy?
Yeah, I think they'll score. I think they'll score a goal. Definitely. They're not a team who's set up defensively like when the Saudis come to the tournament. That they'll definitely set up not to get beat. They've got a history of being in low scoring games.
So maybe the over in some Costa Rica games, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like if we just go back a little tiny bit to the Saudi data. They've got 5 1-0 wins, 4 1-0 defeats, 3 0-0 draws from 16 fixtures. So that's just a massive under team who've scored 5 goals in 13 games. So that's why for their strategy is going to be to set up defensively. Costa Rica, they'll come here to play because that's how they've been historically. Since they qualified for the 1990 World Cup, they've always come to tournaments to play. South American teams are not going to do what the Asian and African teams do.
So real quick for reference,
well, not that they're South American, but American teams.
They're very close. Saudi Arabia's goal total for the tourney is set at 1.5.
It's like the Kansas win total.
Underjuiced to -150. But I noticed that Costa Rica they're 3-1 to not score in the tourney. Costa Rica's 4-1 on that one, which, as Billy said, I would imagine
similar goal total,
but no, it's 2.5. But we can get, if we wanted to take the over, we would get +140.
All right, so I'm going to take over on the Costa Rica goals. That's a fun bet, and then Germany to win the group. Kramer, what do you got for?
Oh no, that was my contribution.
Oh, that's yours.
Yeah,
okay,
I'm trying to show people there's all sorts of fun ways to bet on the World Cup.
SportsGamblingPodcast.com/WynnBet. Yeah, I mean they have
goal totals. Come on,
they have everything. All right.
And Costa Rica could score against Costa Rica. Won't. I don't think they'll score against Spain. I think Spain to win 2-0 in a lot of their games is a good bet, but because of the amount of possession that they have, it's hard to. If you don't have the ball, you can't score. But with Germany give you chances. So even when you're looking at Costa Rica, Germany, despite the fact Germany will be a heavy favorite in that game, -400, -450, something along those lines, Costa Rica could still score.
Random question, and probably exposes me as a soccer fraud and not soccer Sean.
That's probably what you want.
Are you allowed to pull your goalie in soccer? And has anyone ever done it in soccer history?
Yeah, the goalkeepers go up for corners. If a team's losing, the goalkeepers go up for corner kicks. I mean, the goalkeepers can do whatever they want except for handle it outside of the box. So we've had goalkeepers score. Last season, Liverpool's goalkeeper Alisson actually scored a goal.
So if a team is down like 3-0, will they move?
No, it's pulled for a different reason. Like Billy's saying. So let's say you're down a goal. And you're on the attack, you get a corner kick. Your goalie's probably going to be one of the tallest guys on the field. So now he comes down to maybe get a head on the ball. Obviously, this also exposes you as someone who hasn't listened to any of my coaching pillars. As a youth soccer coach, if you have a goalie who can play well, it's an absolute cheat code. It's like having an extra kid on the field because kids can't kick it that far. So used to pull the goalie all the time, aka my daughter. Anyway, moving on.
Group F: Belgium -180, Croatia +300, Morocco +1050, Canada 12-1.
Fuck yeah, Canada! Nice of you to be there.
Yeah, shout out to Canada. Do they make it every time?
They were our +1 this year.
Okay, and as far as qualifying, Belgium -700, Croatia -250, Morocco +200, Canada +275 to qualify. So, seemingly a slightly more competitive group we got here in Group F. Billy, what do you make of this group?
Yeah, this is an interesting group for me because the winners and the runners up from this will end up playing Spain and Germany. So this is one of the instances where you're looking at a group winner and you can get very good odds on, say, for example, Belgium win it to be eliminated in a round of 16. In fact, you could see both of the winner and runner up here eliminated in a round of 16. So I would narrowly lean Belgium and Croatia. Croatia were the World Cup finalists last time. Belgium, this is their last chance. They've had this golden generation for a long time where they've been talking about all of these players playing across Europe. This was Belgium's best team in years with Kevin De Bruyne and Romelu Lukaku. De Bruyne won't play at the next World Cup, or if he does, he'll be a lot more ineffective. Eden Hazard is already a lot more ineffective than he was at the last World Cup. Romelu Lukaku is already less effective, and this may be the last time where he's a key player. So this golden generation who are supposed to win a World Cup for Belgium, or at least the European Championship, haven't done so. Their best chance was probably last time, 2018, where they got knocked out in the semi-final against France. And a lot of people said that was the real World Cup final because the England-Croatia game, that was a very young England team. Croatia were a surprise package. And it was always going to be a case of, one very, very shocking team were going to get to the final. Belgium and France were two of the favourites, and they had to play in the other semi-final. So a lot of people were having that narrative that the winner of this game wins it. So that was Belgium's best chance. When it comes to this World Cup, they've lost a lot of those defenders in Vermaelen and Vertonghen and Alderweireld. I feel their chance is gone. I feel they'll come out of the group. I feel they could even win the group. But ultimately, I think they'll fall short to Germany or Spain in the last 16. As for who goes through with them, it should be Croatia, but they've become quite a low-scoring side since the 2018 World Cup. They didn't win their nations. They did win their Nations League group, but that's really been the only significant thing they've done since the 2018 World Cup. So 4 of their last 6 competitive games have seen one or few goals scored. So if they can't score goals, they're going to find it difficult to win games against the likes of Morocco and Canada, who aren't your poorest teams. Where we've been going for a lot of groups in the last group, for instance, where we looked at Japan being in there, along with I forget Costa Rica. Sorry.
Yeah.
This isn't that group because Canada can compete, Morocco can compete. Canada have got here by topping CONCACAF. They won 8 of their 14 games and had a defensive record that saw them concede just 7 goals in those 14 games. So this team only concede 1 every other game, even though that is in CONCACAF. So sometimes you just need that massive confidence coming in, and if you haven't been getting beat, you forget what it's like to be beat. And look, this is professional sports. We say this all of the time. There isn't really a bad team in the NFL. There isn't really a bad team in the EPL. There's teams that are less consistent, but they're not bad. They're not shit. We saw that this week. A coach came in from a TV job and
Jeff
managed
Saturday.
the Colts to win a game. That means that Colts did have talent the whole time.
Yeah.
So, that's always important to remember. Like, there's no one here that's really shit. They are at a World Cup at the end of the day, and Canada are going in with a ton of confidence.
So Belgium minus 180, Canada to qualify plus 275.
I was going to say Canada took our lunch, as Colby would say. Canada ate our ass for lunch. Croatia under 5.5 goals is minus 120.
Ooh, okay.
That's the play here. As Billy said, they're very low scoring. The very little bit of World Cup prep I was looking at seemed like another under.
All right, moving over to Group G, Brazil minus 325, Serbia plus 675, the Swiss plus 750, Cameroon 20-1 as far as who's going to win it. Now, moving over to the qualify, Brazil is minus 900, and then kind of a toss up after that with Swiss, Serbia, and Cameroon. All kind of close here. Swiss minus 110, Serbia plus 110, Cameroon plus 350. Billy, what do you make of this group?
Yeah, this is really difficult for me to pick a runner-up in this group. I think Brazil will win it, but I don't think they're going to make any kind of statement here where you look at Brazil coming through this group and say, yes, their favoritism is justified, or they're going to shorten here, like, where you sometimes see teams like at the start of the season when in the NFL where you saw the Bills steamrolling people and justifying their favoritism. We saw them really shorten in the AFC. I don't think we're going to see that here with Brazil, like putting these teams to the sword, because you've got the African team in Cameroon who's sitting. Switzerland and Serbia are going to do the same. They're going to all make themselves very difficult to beat. So you're going to see Brazil like scraping through and perhaps even getting a draw here. So I think Brazil will win the group, but you're coming up against these very well organized teams. And I think the runner-up is going to be determined by the results against each other. Serbia, for me, are the interesting standout because they beat Portugal in a qualifying group and meant that Portugal had to come through a playoff. So, they're coming into this one having already having the pedigree of topping a group ahead of a big superpower like Portugal. As for the Swiss, they're always going to be defensively solid. They knocked France out of Euro 2020. So it's really difficult to pick a runner-up from this group. They're just all going to be difficult to beat. So it's not going to be a cakewalk for Brazil. And as I said, the main takeaway from this is not going to be a case of Brazil look so impressive that we need to shorten the line. So don't rush to bet Brazil to win this World Cup. Wait and see how they play, because I don't think you're going to lose much value on the minus 400. I think you're still going to have that price still available to you.
All right. Yeah.
Cameroon to lose all their games is 3-1.
Okay.
Should we be evaluating that, Billy?
I feel like they'll be able to get something from one of these games because they're not significantly the worst team. They're a well-organized team, and African qualifying is crazy. It's really, really difficult. And to be here is a credit to them. If you look at the teams that are not here, look at Mo Salah in Egypt. Mo Salah's not playing in this tournament because Egypt didn't get here. So when an African team gets here, you can't disrespect them to the extent where you think that they're going to be the whipping boys of any group.
All right. Crossed it off the list. What are you doing, Sean?
I'm going Serbia on the long shot. To Billy's point, I could see Brazil fuck around with a draw or two, and maybe not take it as seriously as they need to. Serbia plus 675 to win the group is a fun long shot.
Do we want to have some Brazil under 9.5 goals?
Wow, that's
in the
lot.
Group stage.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a really, that's a good one. I never even saw that line myself anywhere, but yeah, that's a good one.
Let's go.
I think one advantage Cameroon may have in this, just to look at this again, is the scheduling. If there's the assumption that Brazil do win their first two games, I'm not sure they will, but if they do win their first two games, Cameroon played them last, which is where you see everybody rotated. The thing is that Brazil have the deepest squad in the tournament, so they're the ones who really come into this with 2 first 11s, even to the point where I'm literally talking about their goalkeepers. They can swap Edison for Allison, which is the Liverpool keeper for the Man City keeper. So, and these are 2 world-class goalkeepers. So yeah, it's all across the board. They can flip it.
Group H, the final group: Portugal -160, Uruguay +225, South Korea, aka Good Korea, +1250, Ghana +1500 to win. As far as qualifying, let's take a look there. We got
Ghana does have a fire flag, by the way.
but yeah, they do. Portugal -550, Uruguay -250 as well. South Korea +225, Ghana +300. What do we make of Group H here, Billy?
It's the real group of death.
Oh,
I
really?
think it's the real group of death because
South Korea, again, as a TMZ soccer guy, they seem like a competent team.
Well, they have one of the top. I mean, their top player is one of the top players in England, which means something, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons I've gone off them is because he just fractured his cheekbone and needed orbital surgery. So he missed the end of the mid-season for Tottenham. He missed the last few games. So that was my main concern for them. Otherwise, I did like them here as a threat. Uruguay, they've just come good under a new manager. His arrival has been somewhat of a turning point, and they've got a lot of talent. I mean, they've still got Suarez, Godin, and Cavani in their squad, who are all hitting their late 30s, and they're still making the Uruguay squad. That isn't like great for their prospects, but then they also have a lot of new players coming through, like Darwin Núñez, who just signed for Liverpool for 85 million. It's difficult to see them not getting out of the group. Ghana are here at the World Cup, but they were terrible at the AFCON. They were one of the strong favourites to do well, and they were very poor. Talent-wise, they're inferior to Uruguay and Portugal. The thing about Portugal is the worst timing was this Ronaldo interview because he's got Dalot in the squad, he's got Bruno Fernandes in the squad, two Man United players. We've got videos already emerging of like Bruno being like frosty with him in the dressing room. Ronaldo missed a lot of chances in the last Portugal game against Spain. There's a player called Rafael Leao of AC Milan, who the Portuguese public want to play ahead of Ronaldo. Ronaldo's sister's gone on Instagram and called the Portuguese people ungrateful pigs. So there's a lot of turmoil there, and it all centers around Ronaldo. Just like I always talk about on BetMUFC, where I just want this player out of my club because of all the baggage that he brings.
Yeah.
And because of the way that you need to stylistically play around him. Now, we're getting into a lot of tactical stuff, which we're not supposed to on this show. But essentially, the easiest way to explain it is that Manchester United the best way that Man United plays to sit in deep, invite teams to attack them, and then break with three pacey forwards. So they like teams to overcommit in attack so that we have the advantage when we break with pace. Ronaldo doesn't have that pace. So when we're on the break, when the ball comes to Ronaldo, what he does is he slows everything down, takes too many touches, and he wants the ball out wide so players can put crosses into the box to him. It's a very, very old style of playing. Like Ronaldo made Juventus play that way for him when he signed there. But when he signed for Manchester United finished second in the league the season before, doing something very, very different. And Portugal had success doing something very different. So when you have Ronaldo, you play for Ronaldo, which is fine. It's fine when it's peak Ronaldo. It's fine when it's Ronaldo who scores everything and is one of the best players in the world and is winning Ballon d'Ors. It's not this Ronaldo, because this Ronaldo, you need to create 4 or 5 chances for him before he scores goals. He's having a confidence crisis. I sympathise with the fact that one of his twins died at birth, which is probably a distraction. But ultimately, we're trying to gamble here, and we're trying to win money. We can't look at sympathetic angles and things like that. He's not finishing the chances that they create for him, and he insists on them creating the chances for him, and he insists on playing, and nobody has the balls to drop it. So he's going to start. He's going to be a distraction. He's going to change the way the team plays at their best. So he dampens the chances of both Portugal and Man United and wherever he goes at this point in his career, other than the MLS, where if he goes there, even at 37 years of age, those defenders won't be able to cope with his movement. But his movement at the moment is too static for the EPL and too static for a World Cup.
Even as
so that's something like tactical, like
so
analysis.
It looks like a fade of Portugal, and by that, I'm taking South Korea to shock the world and win Group H at plus 1250.
That's very. Yeah, I mean,
what are you doing?
Shout out to Korea. We love Korea. I just think it's fun to. I love the angles because you can also bet just Portugal eliminated in the group stage plus 350. You really wanted to get hot. Yeah, I don't know. That feels like a cancer. That feels like someone that's not making the team better. We'll see how the Chiefs do. Feels like a Kadarius Toney situation.
Oh wow, right.
He just won.
I think they'll come through the group because they have too many good players. But ultimately, it will cost them in the tournament. But this is a group that could be won by Uruguay because they don't have any of that. Like Uruguay come in as a team. They're always like tough tackling. They're always horrible. They're always nasty. This is one of the nastiest teams in South America. And they're always going to be good for a run like in a tournament. So yeah, it could start with them winning the group.
I love that. I'm just going to write that down. How about that? We'll just take Uruguay plus whatever the
throw Uruguay in there and give me a sprinkle in Uruguay and South Korea to win. Just kind of a fun fade of Portugal.
Oh, I mean, the wife will be happy. She's from good Korea.
All right, closing it out. We have the top goal scorer in the World Cup. Harry Kane 7-1, Mbappe 7-1, Benzema 9-1, Masai.
He said Benzema earlier. In the
I
show.
know. I'm okay. Intentionally messing some of these
up. This is
up.
a bit. I get it.
Lionel Masai 12-1, Neymar 12-1. I'm just.
There's going to be a hilarious negative review.
He doesn't even know what Messi is. Neymar. Billy, what do you like for top goal scorer and how do you handicap it? Obviously, you have to like the team to go pretty far for them to get the most goals, right? So that's part of the handicap. But who is jumping out at here, and any fun long shots here that makes sense?
Yeah, it's always difficult this one because you need to look at who's going to rack goals up in the group. But for me, the long shots are what stand out. Harry Kane, in order to win it, means that England need to go far in this tournament, and I don't think England will go past the quarterfinals in this tournament. I just don't. I just feel there's like too much doubt about the manager. The manager doesn't play the most talented attacking players. He plays a very pragmatic and negative style. He grinds out too many games against opponents where we should win more comfortably. It makes it makes it more difficult than it needs to be. With Mbappe and Benzema, they haven't developed that chemistry. They should be winning games more handily, but they don't. Messi and Neymar, they've both dropped into more creative positions where they aren't. The onus isn't on them to be the goal scorers. Cristiano Ronaldo's out of form. Romelu Lukaku, I don't think is going to go far in this tournament with Belgium. So it takes me down to the next two players, or at least in the market I'm seeing. But let's see where you guys have these two. Lautaro Martinez of Argentina, he is their main striker. Memphis Depay is the main man at Holland, who I think will come through their group relatively comfortably. And then Richarlison is the first choice striker for Brazil. He's the number 9, not Neymar. Neymar's the creative player who's essentially expected to deliver more assists. So yeah, when you go down, the number 9s, who are the forwards who are supposed to score the goals, aren't among the favourites. Now, obviously, in these tournaments, you can have breakout performances from midfielders or wingers. Goals can come from everywhere. It's not always the striker that finishes the top scorer. In fact, last year in the EPL, there was a tie between Salah and Son, two players who play as wingers. But this year, Erling Haaland is the number 9 for Manchester City, and he's well out in front as the leading goal scorer. So generally, you like to look at a number 9, a proper centre forward, and ones that are going to go far in this tournament. And that is Lautaro Martinez and Richarlison, the two actual strikers of Brazil and Argentina.
So Sean, real quick, and also Richarlison is listed as a single name, which that bumps his soccer street cred, right? It doesn't need two names. Yeah, so I wrote those down. I'm seeing them at
25-1, both of them.
Martinez is 25-1.
Yep, and Richarlison 25-1.
Okay, and I'm seeing Memphis Depay, who also Nicolas Cage's character from Gone in 60 Seconds. I'm seeing him at also plus 2,500. So
He's 1,500.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay.
SportsGamblingPodcast.com/WynnBet.
Can I sprinkle a couple long shots for you?
Sure.
See what Billy thinks about this. Well, for you, Sean, because you're a big USA guy, as am I. USA. Christian Pulisic, 100-1.
Don't you? I mean,
that's probably burning money. Shout out to the books for listing that. That's
stupid because they're 150-1 to win it all. Like, wouldn't you rather just take that?
No.
Okay.
No. We're talking about goal scorer. From Korea, Son. We talked about him. He did break his face, I guess, but he is 65-1 to score. He scores a lot of goals in England, and we talked about Sadio Mane earlier at 50-1 for Senegal. Maybe not the best price compared to those other guys. I like the Richarlison angle a lot.
Yeah,
you want to get somebody who's going to play 7 games, and you know what the thing is 7 games also includes a third place playoff. So getting to the semifinal gets you 7 games, and sometimes you can like pad that goal scoring record out in that 3rd and 4th place playoff because nobody cares about it, but someone going for the golden boot might care about it. So you want to pick a team get into the final 4, so you get a full 7 games. So that's why I think that Martinez and Richarlison stick out, not because they're the best strikers in this tournament. No way. It's clearly Kylian Mbappe and other names and Benzema and Harry Kane.
It's a volume play.
Are Harry Kane, Mbappe, and Benzema going to play all the way to the semifinals? I'm not sure.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm Martinez and Richarlison. Those are my 2. I'm co-signing with Billy. All right, closing it out.
Sean Charleston, that's your soccer name.
Yeah, there you go, Sean Charleston. Appreciate you coming on, Billy. Any sort of locks before we let you go? And of course, everyone should be subscribing to the Soccer Gambling Podcast. Get all your World Cup picks there. Tons of great stuff coming up from Billy Bhatti. Any sort of lock you want to go out on? For me, my lock is the USA to win at 150-1. My dog is Argentina at +525. What do you got, Billy? What's one of your favorite bets here?
I don't know if you have this market here. Tell me if you haven't, and I'll try and find something else. Do you have a team to reach the quarterfinals,
yes,
a team to reach the semifinals? What price do you have on Argentina? Quarterfinals. If it's too juiced, play up to semifinals.
So stage of elimination, semifinals.
Not stage of elimination, to reach.
Oh, I don't know if we have that market.
I bet we do.
Oh, here we go. To reach quarterfinal. Yeah, to reach semifinal. Let's go. Which team?
Argentina.
130.
Plus 130.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I like that because I don't feel that this team will fall short at that stage. If they come through their group as the group winner, I feel that as long that they end up getting either Senegal, Ecuador, or Qatar. So then that puts them through to the round of 16. Where looking at it, I don't think anybody can knock him out at that point. So yeah, and even at that point, Argentina would be a favorite. So you can take a hedge if you do that kind of thing. I know you guys are not advocates, but yeah, you can take a hedge at that point.
All right, like it, Kramer. You got any locks you want to throw out?
Oh, I think I'm scanning through all the things I wrote down. I wrote down a number of bets. We'll put this on.
Put it out.
We'll get this somewhere. It feels like the lock that I like the most. Sharp angle here. Croatia under 5.5 goals.
All right, there you go.
How about that?
That'll do it for the Sports Gambling Podcast. Hey, make sure you go to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Tons of great gear up there. Use that promo code DallasSucks. Get 10% off. And again, make sure you subscribe to the Soccer Gambling Podcast hosted by the great Billy Bhatti.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
Come on, Sean. USA. USA. Hey, Christian Pulisic, top goal scorer. USA wins this fucking tournament. 1,000 to 1.
Hey guys, let me just
fucking
one more
go.
thing.
Yes.
Just because I got a message earlier from Adam that those guys are putting out written content every day on the Sports Gambling Podcast website. So I'm doing the podcast, but there's actually written stuff on our site by the other guys as well. So check that out as well.
Not only that, You want to hear someone with an American accent talk about it? We got the MLS guys breaking it down.
Tons of soccer stuff over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Head over there. You cannot miss it. Kramer, let it ride.